If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now on the Mo Kelly Show, it's Tiffany Hobbs, the viral load.
She'll speak of all the viral things social media can bring.
Facebook, Insta, X, TikTok, the viral load with Tiffany Hobbs. Viral load, viral load, the viral load. Viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI, Later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere on YouTube and the iHeartRadio app. And let's turn it over to Tiffany Hobbs for the viral load.
The gang is all back together, minus Steph, but it's really good to be back. It's been a couple of weeks and there's been no shortage of viral stories. And this week's roundup goes from pretty kooky to downright disgusting. And so I'll get into it, starting with the kooky in the world of viral stories. Selling a house in Southern California, maybe anywhere, is proving to be very difficult. And people are resorting to different strategies to list a house, garner interest. And in one such case, a horse was utilized to sell a house.
Excuse me?
For the past several months, there's a real estate broker. Her name is Lucy Oliveira, and she's been trying to drum up interest about a house that she's had on the market. This house has been on the market 4 months, and unfortunately, she hasn't had a lot of interest, and no one's really made good on wanting to buy this home. And so she started to get a little desperate, and instead of lowering the price or taking it off of the market, she decided to come up with another sort of avant-garde idea that she says may very well take off in the future. She went to one of her friends, a friend named Zara Dragu, who's a licensed speech and language pathologist who uses a horse, a little miniature horse named Lemon, as part of a therapy program for children and her clients at large. So Zara, her friend, and this real estate broker, Lucy, came up with this idea to take Lemon, this miniature horse, and put Lemon in the photographs of the listing.
Does Lemon take a crap all over the floor?
I don't know. And if he did, they photoshopped that out very well.
Okay.
So can't confirm or deny. And don't even know if Lemon consented to this. But what they did was they took Lemon and they put Lemon in this house. It's a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath.
You can see it on YouTube right now.
In an up and coming neighborhood, of course. And they put Lemon at the front door as if he's greeting you when you come in. These are the listing photos. They put him, in another room looking through a window. They put him near a bathroom and countertops. They put him investigating a fireplace and, of course, finally exploring the backyard. They uploaded these photos, and one account, Zillow Gone Wild, got wind of the listing. That's where I saw it. It went completely viral after that because people shared it all over the place because, oh my God, there's a horse in the listing. And of course, the interested and prospective buyers just ramped up. And now Lucy Oliveira, the real estate broker, says that she is basically beating off these prospective buyers with a stick, beating them off with a stick.
Oh,
relax.
I was curious though. Did the horse actually increase the interest in the house, or just was a way for it to go viral and then more people knew about the house?
The answer to that is yes.
Okay.
Both things are true. Putting a horse in a mundane living room, kind of run-of-the-mill stock photo type real estate photography does add an element that is unusual, and people started looking more closely at the actual house, going to the house's open house listings.
I'll be down.
And then, of course, the more people who see it, the more people it reaches, and the more people who were close enough to go by went by. And So now they haven't locked down an actual buyer yet because they have so many, but they are saying that this could lead to using Lemon in further listings. And if you want to see Lemon on Instagram, you can follow at Lemon the Tiny Horse.
Lemon has his own IG?
Lemon has his own IG, which I misread as Lamont the Tiny Horse, which I thought was a lot cooler name than Lemon.
Well, Lemon it's like a white horse. Lamont would have been a black horse.
I see what you did there.
I'm not wrong either.
Our next story, before we go to the break, there's a doctor who's going viral after sharing a patient review in which the patient says, because it's like a Yelp review where you can review the doctors and leave your star rating, right? You want to get the maximum amount of stars. Well, this patient said, the doctor saved my life. But instead of giving the maximum 5 stars, the patient gave 4 stars. And the doctor shared that to social media saying, I guess saving a life isn't enough. So, of course, people are surmising perhaps it was your sheets, perhaps it was your bedside manner. And the doctor has gone on to say, we are located across the street from a Costco. Perhaps I'll start including samples in my consultations and visits to drum up our stars to 5. So just a funny, cute little viral story about how a doctor was rated 4 stars out of 5, even after saving a patient's life.
I didn't Yelp my doctor, but I did my dentist. In other words, provide a review. Just seemed like it'd be weird for a doctor, but
it's a little strange.
Yeah.
And even stranger not to give the best possible review if your life was saved by this doctor.
Or it's a little strange for the doctor to say, see, I didn't get the 5-star review.
You're saying don't complain about it.
Yeah. Be above that fray. Now me, I'm petty. There's difference.
Oh, never you, Mo.
Never me.
Never you.
Always me.
On the other side of the break, we're going to talk about nurses gone rogue and what they did on social media that has a lot of them now suspended from their jobs. We're also going to talk about a very popular figure who is being used in a fashion spread. He probably doesn't know it, though. And then lastly, a new TikTok trend that's stupid. There's always a new stupid TikTok trend, and I'm here to share it with you.
It's later with Mo Kelly. More of the viral load. Just
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
a moment.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now it's time for the viral load with Tiffany. Live on KFI's Later with Mo Kelly. She'll talk about the top hits on social media. The viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI Mo Kelly, Later with Mo Kelly. Now for part 2 of the viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
This next story is what comprises the really icky, disgusting portion of our show. And it's not because of the victims in this case, but instead because of who victimized the people I'm going to speak about. The last thing you want when you go to the doctor is for someone to whip out a camera and take video or pictures of your visit. Can you imagine if someone decided to do that while you're there at the doctor, at the dentist, and of course, you're held captive in that moment. And in this case, that's what happened. There were women, multiple women at an urgent care facility. And this facility is called the Pasitas Urgent Care. It's in Santa Barbara. They went for pap smears, which is a procedure for women. It's to check the health of your hoo-ha,
secret
if you
garden.
will. Your secret garden. Make sure your flowers are blooming correctly, right? Not overwatered, so on and so on. So these women went in for their checkups. And while they were there during the pap smear, there are things that make the pap smear easier because there's all these tools that got to go into the garden. Okay. All right.
There was a joke in there, and we're just going to let it go. A garden what? Go ahead.
Garden tool. There you go. The bigger the tool, too. Also, anyway, moving. So after the procedure was done and the women left, because of the things that are used to make this procedure easier, okay, there was residue left behind on the chair or the beds in which these women were positioned. There were nurses, a group of nurses and several other staff members at this Positas urgent care in Santa Barbara who took pictures of what the women left behind.
Oh, gosh.
And they didn't take pictures to analyze in a meeting or to talk about privately. No, because this is 2025. They uploaded them to social media.
Of course,
TikTok specifically.
Of course.
A series of photos and videos that show all of this pap smear discharge left behind by patients.
Are these employees doing this?
These are employees.
Or almost former employees at this point.
Many of them now, according to the Positas urgent care, are on leave pending the results of an investigation. They're doing an internal investigation.
Well, they posted all the damn evidence with them smiling in the photo.
That is the thing. Their faces are right there for everyone to see. And if you're looking at YouTube, as you should be right now, you'll see the photos pictured or that were posted and have gone viral of these staff members posing, suggestively posing, pointing, mocking what these women left behind in their most vulnerable states and trusted states at the doctor.
I got a question, because I would think that men would do that out of ignorance, not necessarily knowing or understanding. And this is rhetorical. Why would women, especially employees of the clinic, do something like this? I mean, what's unusual about that?
I was talking off air, and the main thing is this want to go viral. People suspend shame. They suspend reason and logic in an effort to just capture something that they think will circulate quickly and garner them whatever it is they want, that quick dopamine hit, that quick satisfaction of being popular. And these women did that at the expense of all of these unsuspecting women. There are no patients pictured. You don't see patients' faces, but that doesn't make it any better. This is a clinic that people know they visited. So again, these
maybe
staff
for the
members,
last time,
likely for the last time, hopefully for the last time. And I imagine there are copious lawsuits that are being drawn up about patient privacy.
Yeah.
This is a direct violation in so many ways. For our last two stories, they're a quick roundup because we got to clear our palate with that one. You ever heard of the website Shein or Shein?
Shine.
Shein,
S-H-E-I-N.
S-H-E-I-N. It's a fast fashion website. You can get pretty much anything at a low cost. Well, apparently there are independent sellers who can put their goods and wares on this website. I didn't know that. That was a surprise. But even more surprisingly is that one of these sellers has used photoshopped photos of accused killer Luigi Mangione. Remember him? The accused killer of the insurance head?
Yeah, the
a year plus ago?
Yeah, the healthcare company.
The healthcare company. They're using photoshopped photos of Luigi Mangione to sell their apparel. They have put these photoshopped pictures of Luigi in their shirts, in their goods, and they have uploaded it to Shein. And of course, that's going viral for many different reasons.
What were you saying about suspension of shame?
Bring back shame. Our last story, stupid TikTok trend alert. Don't do this. You know those big 5-gallon jugs of water that you can get, you know, your Sparklets water. Yeah. When they're filled up, they're pretty heavy, really heavy. And there's a trend where fitness influencers or people who purport to be such, because you can label yourself anything nowadays, are taking these 5-gallon jugs. They're extending one arm outward. They're holding the jug filled with water to the top with one hand, turning the jug over so that the water empties out, pours out in an effort to show how strong they are. Not only is this stupid and wasteful of the water, but it's incredibly dangerous because of what could potentially happen if you are not able to carry this sort of weight. But people are doing this all over social media. The challenge I haven't seen a name for the challenge yet, but they certainly will name it. I think it should be called the Stupid A Challenge at this point, but you'll see it now more than ever because people are trying to get their notoriety by showing that they can hold this jug and empty the water. On YouTube right now, we do see people drinking the water, but what comes next is the pouring out of the 5 gallons.
Well, at least it's not physically dangerous like Ding Dong Ditch these days.
This could be dangerous. Of course, not nearly as dangerous as Ding Dong Ditch. And I don't know if you're going to get into that story.
No, there's not too much to say other than I used to play Ding Dong Ditch, but it was a different day. It was a different world.
Yes.
I used to toilet paper people's houses. I wouldn't dare think of having anyone do that these days because it's just dangerous, unfortunately. If you don't know the story, there was an 11-year-old boy who was shot in the back by a homeowner after playing Ding Dong Ditch.
Yeah. Killed. Killed for an innocent game that we all likely grew up playing or knew someone who played. But these trends on TikTok that you see are often dangerous just to the person who's doing that trend, like this particular one we're looking at.
Who opted in on their own.
Who opted in on their own. The ramifications are unto them only. But when the trend branches out and involves others who aren't interested in participation, then you could have people who react violently, unfortunately, in the case of killing that 11-year-old boy playing Ding Dong Ditch. But that is today's end of the Viral Load. I'll see you Saturday right here from 5 to 7 on Saturdays with Tiffany, and I'll be back here next Wednesday for the next Viral Load.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI Mo Kelly, live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app and YouTube. And as we were finishing out the Viral Load with Tiffany Hobbs, and we kind of touched upon the story of the young boy who was killed after playing Ding Dong Ditch. It's another constant and unfortunate reminder of how the world has changed by kids and also for kids. There was a lot of things that I would do, and I'm quite sure Mark would do, and Tuala has told me that he's done, that were mischievous, that we wouldn't even consider recommending for a kid today to do, because the world is, especially the United States, is far more dangerous. It's far more uncertain. You don't get that free pass of just doing something like toilet papering someone's house. That's something that we did, I don't know, 5-6 times a year.
Yeah, we did all that stuff when we were kids, knocked and ran, whatever you call it. And the penalty was never execution back then.
No, it was maybe going to be a loud, angry, yelling parent, get off my lawn. That was about it. And that was the whole point.
What do you suppose has changed, Mo?
It's not one thing. I would say it's 10 things. I think that we're a coarser nation. I don't think that we respect one another on any level. There's just anger about anything and everything. Kids are more a-holes than ever before also.
Really?
I think there's a lesser degree of tolerance for certain behavior from kids. I know that I have less of a tolerance from the kids who are acting up in stores or talking back to their parents or acting in a way that I know that our generation, Gen X, would not have been allowed to act.
Maybe, but they're still just kids. Nobody deserves to be backshot for a prank.
Oh, no. Let's be clear. I'm not saying that the response is in any way warranted, legal, or even acceptable. I'm just saying that in the way that adults are different, kids are different as well. I just remember a time in which we were trying to get into trouble, but we weren't as much looking for things that may put someone in the hospital or someone may end up dead. It was just a different approach, I believe.
And what about the guns?
Well, of course. But there are two things in that. Yes, there are more guns, and there's more of a gun culture, which I believe contributes to why young people would even consider having a gun or seek out a gun.
Yeah, call me some kind of out-of-control flower child, but I think it should be taboo in our society to shoot children.
You talk about two different things. What the guy did is criminal, and that would have been condemned at any time in history. Today, the perception of kids is very different. We when I say we, adults look at kids as possible a felony waiting to happen. There's much more of an adversarial relationship. In other words, like it used to be, and genuinely used to be, where other parents in your neighborhood would watch over you, verbally discipline you, and you knew that there was a community which was going to be responsible for you. Now, I don't know if people know their neighbors right or left. You can't really talk to anyone's kids. It's much more adversarial.
Maybe, but whipping out the piece is a little bit too much tough love, I think.
No, but that's not, again, we're talking about completely different things. We're not talking about someone with a rational response. You're talking about someone who committed murder. And I think they charged him with first-degree murder because he went after the kid and shot him in the back, as opposed to just responding to the kid.
Yeah, it all happens in a context, though. And I did plenty when I was a kid. The statute of limitations has expired on everything, but I'm sure that I did stuff that made this poor kid, look completely like a saint, and nobody ever drew down on me.
No, not at all.
I got chased a lot.
I got chased both on foot and in the car. I've done ding dong ditch. I've done some vandalism that I'm not exactly proud of. I've done some pretty ingenious things to piss off adults that I didn't like, but never was I concerned, or any of one of my friends concerned, about physical violence or lethal violence coming our way. We wouldn't have done that. We just wanted to make adults mad. That was it.
We can finally relate on one thing.
Yeah, but I got the sense that you were of the belief that I was somehow condoning, or I can understand what this murderer did. No, not at all. I just believe our society has changed so much where we look at young people not in a way where, okay, they're just kids being kids, and more so it's like they're a threat which needs to be put down.
No, I wasn't putting that on you, but society's definitely changed. I think we're definitely meaner, definitely coarser, and you cannot ignore the proliferation of guns. There's more guns than citizens now in the United States, and it's all in one big grotesque stew, and that kid should be alive.
But also, adults, how we respond to each other has changed, going back to the whole coarser idea. Look, when we were coming along, yeah, you were going to get flipped off on the freeway, and you would flip someone off back in return, and you didn't necessarily have to worry about someone pulling a gun and shooting you. No. All those things, that's a through line if you want to talk about guns, where anger is, violence and gun violence is also nearby.
Well, they allow you to act on your impulses irrevocably and quickly.
And that's something which, since I've done martial arts for so long, part of the training has always been managing your emotions and also acknowledging escalation versus de-escalation. I don't know, because I haven't been a kid in, 30 years or so, whatever it is.
30.
Okay. How about 40?
Okay.
I don't know if kids learn any type of conflict resolution, because it's just, again, I came up at an age where you didn't talk back to adults. You didn't try to antagonize, directly confront adults. You see videos on the internet all the time where you have students getting in physical fights with teachers. It didn't happen growing up.
No, I agree with that. Things have been taken up several notches, and we just never had to worry about that stuff. As much of a troublemaker and a bruiser as I was, I would never have raised a hand against a teacher.
Never.
And I was in fights constantly.
And did you want to? Yeah, it's the stuff that you mumble under your breath walking away, but you weren't ever going to turn around and square up.
Yeah, I think we've released our ids, and we could probably stand to tuck them back in a little bit.
You got that right. We finally found something we agree upon.
Who knew?
When we come back.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
My final thought.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Here's my final thought. Maybe you haven't noticed, but America is in the midst of a full-on rebellion and rejection of education and science. We've dismantled the Department of Education. We've called college a scam. There are more flat earthers and moon landing deniers in America right now than there are ICE agents, and that's saying a lot. Today, it was announced by the Florida Surgeon General that the state of Florida will be doing away with all state vaccine mandates. Not a COVID vaccine here or tetanus vaccine there, but the whole shebang. That's any and all vaccines for kids, adults, teachers, the whole 9 yards. And since we're in this war against education and science, far too many of us don't know that you can't develop herd immunity to polio. And that measles used to kill about 500 kids per year. That was pre-vaccine. See, kids dying ended up with iron lungs. Those things used to be considered really, really bad. But since we're no longer valuing education and science, we're just going to have to learn these lessons a second time, all over again. And they're going to be much more difficult. Let me digress for a moment. America has a glorious history of being very good at overcoming huge obstacles. But that's history. And we're still arguing about what history is going to be taught or how it should be taught. But that's in the past. Building the atom and hydrogen bombs, that was hard. The bomb was the reason why we won World War II, and we don't speak German or Japanese as our national language right now. That's science. That's American exceptionalism. Going to the moon, that was hard. And yes, we really did go to the moon, 6 times to be exact. Science, American exceptionalism. But let me get back to vaccines in the state of Florida. Unscientific, not really exceptional. Part of the rather recent distrust of vaccines is tied to our distrust of, quote unquote, big pharma. We've all heard the common refrain. When was the last time big pharma cured any disease? They don't cure or prevent COVID. They don't cure or prevent the flu. You've said it probably. We've all heard it. Who said Procter & Gamble or Pfizer or Moderna that they were in the business of curing diseases? That's like asking when McDonald's has ever made someone healthy or ended world hunger. McDonald's sells burgers, and they want you to keep on coming back and buying more burgers and eating more burgers as often as you can. They're not here for any other reason. Ray Kroc, he was a genius, but nobody said he had some responsibility to make sure anyone's cholesterol issues were cured. Big Pharma is and never has been in the business of curing diseases. You're ascribing responsibilities which just aren't there. People keep telling themselves that lie, that just because their products are used in a hospital, that somehow their business should be curing diseases. Now, I get it. There's a new drug every week with 45 different side effects, including heart attack, stroke, and death. Trust me, I get it. But this is conflating 2 different things. This lack of understanding, I submit, is at the foundation of the anti-vax movement. And because we wrongly assume that big pharma serves no purpose outside of enriching their shareholders, we also disbelieve that vaccines serve any legitimate purpose. So, now the state of Florida is ending the big pharma scam, or something like that. And I've been talking about how important it is for people like you and me to travel. Depending on the continent, you may have to get what? Say it with me. Vaccinated if you want to travel there. There's a reason why America is not presently overrun with yellow fever, not overrun with hepatitis A, typhoid fever, meningitis. Mark, my personal favorite, rabies. Imagine that. And that reason is a vaccine. Haven't you seen Old Yeller? Herd immunity has never saved anyone from rabies. Not one person. Vaccines have always had a role to play, except for now in Florida. Yes, Big Pharma does like making money, but you supposedly hate socialism and you hate communism, so capitalism is going to do what capitalism does. You can't have it both ways. Nobody's doing anything for free. Vaccines aren't free either. They cost money. They cost billions of dollars to research, billions of dollars to develop and test in trials. But most of that research is done where? At our top colleges and universities. The same colleges and universities we're now defunding for purely political reasons. Really stupid political reasons. And I know, like I said before, college is a scam, but vaccines are not free. And all this is connected. We've forgotten that there are differences between children living and dying before the age of 5. As they often did in the 19th and early 20th centuries. I bet you didn't know that. Well, if you read your history, you would know that. Vaccines have an outsized role in preventing that and why overall life expectancy in America is longer than ever before, and we don't routinely die at the age of 35. It's not magic. If I were to point out an anti-vaxxer, maybe you're one of them, I would bet dollars to donuts that they would also consider themselves pro-life. And yet they're so pro-life that they're willing to let kids get polio, measles, whooping cough, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, and also infect other children, maybe your child, who may go to school with them. And that's assuming that none of those same kids aren't murdered in a mass shooting later on in life. Pro-life? No, you're just pro-zygote. Not the same. Here's the takeaway. Coming home. There is an unavoidable cost to courting stupidity at the expense of science. We have a Health and Human Services agency being led by a non-physician who admittedly suffered from a brain worm. There is a cost to that. Dismantling the vaccination infrastructure in one of the most populated states in this nation of 340 million people is going to come at a cost. Unfortunately, it will be our children who will pay the most. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly.
KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County. More stimulating talk.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.